It's Weezy F, baby, and the F is for stunt, though. Young Moolah, baby. Fuck. I'm fucking bored.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Boardwalk Driving Podcast, Episode 1. This is FilmCast number 1. Now, breaking down Star Wars with Austin Powell. Austin is a singer, songwriter, musician, artist, actor. He does it all. So this is our first one, so we had some minor technical difficulties. Audio is a little fuzzy at parts, and I think there's a break in here as well. So bear with us, this is a learning process, but it only gets better with time. So please stick around for future episodes. And we hope you enjoy this one. We're talking about Star Wars, Episode 8. Snoke's death. Kylo versus Rey. It's all good shit. Again, this is Boardwalk Driving, so please stay off your phone, listen to our voices, and be safe out there. All right? Put that name, too. Boardwalk Driving Podcast.
I like it.
It's good. It sends a good message.
It also is very practical.
Yes. In fact, that's literally why I started listening to podcasts, and the reason I found out about it.
Because you were bored while driving.
I was bored while driving.
I think you should share what you just told me. What was your other...
I noticed that while I'm driving, if I'm listening to a podcast that actually engages my brain, and I'm actually thinking about the subject, or I'm like learning something new, then I don't look at my phone, and I'm actually paying attention to what's happening on the road in front of me. And increasingly, as I think there's a statistic that said by 2030 each person will have 19 internet enabled devices.
Oof.
Which is insane to have 19 devices.
How many do I have?
Right? Just think about how many I have just right now. Sitting in front of us, we have 4.
Yep.
Just 4, just right here in our immediate vicinity. And we're just sitting at a kitchen table. So when I started listening to podcasts, I noticed that I just don't look at my phone at all. And then when I drive with friends, or I'm a passenger in a lot of my friends' cars, they're always looking at their phone. Your brother being he's real bad.
He's the worst.
Yeah.
That's how most of his accidents happen.
It's funny. It's like, I don't know how I get into so many accidents.
No, he says, it's not my fault. I'm like, you're right, it's your phone's fault. Which is your fault.
Exactly. So if more people like me are bored while driving, and they choose to listen to podcasts and not look at their phone so much, then maybe we'll get into less accidents, maybe we'll learn some stuff.
So TLDR, we're saving lives. We deserve a medal. Pretty much.
I mean, it doesn't have to come right now, but
the next few days would be fine.
Just a small ceremony.
Yeah.
Something.
Few thousand people.
A speech, maybe get a guest speaker. I don't know.
I hear we could get
But yeah,
Joe Rogan or John Powell.
If we can help people pay attention to the road and have some fun while we're doing it, then that's great. So welcome to whoever is listening to this. I'm sure there's no one, but welcome to the Boardwalk Driving Podcast, Episode 0, the start, number 1.
If there was a title music, this is where it would play. So I'll do my best to improvise.
Boom, boom. Boom, boom. We got to come up with some better music. Yeah. Thankfully, like I said, that a friend of mine, Shane, he does a lot of musical stuff, so hopefully we can get a collaboration together. We can actually get a good little...
Easy. That's an
little musical, yeah.
That's a tennis match.
That's
just a tennis match.
But we did, speaking of tennis, we played some tennis earlier. Mm-hmm. We try to stay out there, get active, got the blood flowing, feel good.
Played a match, it was fun.
Had some lunch.
Yeah.
And
Meats and cheeses.
Meats and cheeses.
Basically, we're 60-year-old white men.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, it doesn't sound like it by the high timbre of our voices, but we're 60-year-old white men. We spend our days playing tennis and eating meats and cheese.
Yeah.
And then podcasting, which
You know.
is not very typical. So the metaphor is kind of falling down a little bit.
Well, it's the right neighborhood for it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
We're
60-year-old white Jews.
Pretty much.
You live in a very Jewish neighborhood.
Very Jewish.
Yeah.
Very Jewish. Thankfully.
For those listening that don't know, I am also a Jew, so I'm allowed to say Jew.
I think that's how that works.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I'm not I'm not up to date on that particular piece of social justice.
Changes every day.
Yeah.
But yeah, we played tennis, and then in between games we were arguing, not so much arguing, but talking about Star Wars.
Yes.
Which is what I think this podcast is going to mainly be about. Knowing
yes.
us.
Well, I mean, I'm a huge fan, and I have been looking forward to this particular installment with a lot of fervor since the Force Awakens. I was a huge fan of the Force Awakens. I thought it was, it had enough. It paid enough homage, if I could be pretentious, to the original trilogy and the original New Hope. That it satisfied all those beats that I want hit. But it was new, and it had enough. It had a projection that I thought it could have gone anywhere, and it had a lot of potential.
Very open.
Yeah, it had a lot of potential to kind of, like the first one kind of knocked out all of the stuff you really wanted to see. You know, you got the Millennium Falcon, you got the Han and Chewie moments, you got the.
And the fact that they killed Han in the first one, I thought was
right?
a great twist, because you did not see it coming.
Well,
and I guess on the bridge you saw it coming, but like you didn't think they would kill him in the first movie. Like that was not on my list of things that I thought would happen.
I thought it was going to be a journey to see the direction they were going to take the original characters, because they were obviously going to be a part of it. But the way they incorporated Han as being like a central part of the first one, and then killing him and having Kylo Ren's arc stray really, really close, or really, really far down the dark side, was a good setup for the Sith side of this trilogy.
Technically, it's not Sith.
Okay, but the dark side of the trilogy.
It's not Sith, okay?
Okay, yeah, it's not technically the Sith. They're not formally trained.
Actually.
Okay. And then I thought equally so the Finn Rey dynamic on the light, portraying that light side.
I ship them so hard.
Yeah, right. In the Force Awakens, they were setting themselves up for what I thought was going to be, episodes 8 and 9 were going to be almost completely original and completely new, and they could have gone anywhere. And I was really excited with what it looked like. A lot of the directions that they were going to put these characters.
The funny thing though is that I feel like if Rian Johnson was sitting here, he would say, "Oh, but we did that. We did something original. We did something really different. Like we had a slow chase scene and strange gray Jedi stuff, and the weird, kind of killing, like not telling you who Snoke was, which was like very off the wall. We're gonna get into that in a minute. But like he would probably say, "Oh, I felt like we did something really different." But then,
they did do some things different than what you would typically expect from a Star Wars film, like having no time take place in between films. Like it takes place literally the hours and day and a half after the first one.
Well, you mentioned that to me, and I think that makes me realize like Rey's had a rough week.
It's a rough week.
It's been a rough week. These two films.
One of the toughest weeks in the galaxy. There.
Yeah.
When you think about it, The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, they span about 4 or 5 days, maybe. I mean, you can maybe. She only spends like a day and a half on Octo, the planet that Luke's on.
Yeah. I mean, unless there's lots of cuts that we're ignoring. But it doesn't feel like that.
Not in The Last Jedi. Last Jedi, it's confirmed that they say it only takes place in a day and a half. And in The Force Awakens is a little bit more, you can say this way or that way. But
I mean, they're doing light speed. I mean, they jumped like
They say that. You see, and this is the thing and this was interesting about The Last Jedi is that this is the first time we got like hours attached to like how long it would take to travel places.
Yeah.
You know, it was the first time they started going into a little bit more of the logistical side of the Star Wars.
It was definitely different, but you were saying you were saying was that about how the time jumps is different than the other.
Yeah, well, so every episode so far, episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there is a multi-year, if not at least a substantial amount of time for the characters to have progressed or changed a little. In between each installment, there's always a gap in which there's things that happen that we don't know and that we get to find out a little bit of through, allegory and stuff that side conversations that the characters are having in, and we get to see what happened. We get to hear about some of the stuff that happened that we didn't get to see, and we get to see kind of how they've changed a little bit. And it's almost like you get a not a new character, but a progressed, a more fulfilled character that has a different challenge in each movie.
Mm-hmm.
This one felt like just an extenuation of The Force Awakens because they didn't put any time and they kept the same. They kept it so close together that it essentially was just like you said, Rey's having a rough week. She's not gonna learn a whole bunch of life lessons in the time.
The thing that makes it really unrealistic in that sense is like I feel like if that was my week, I would be like, man, it's been tough. This has been a few days of this shit.
Yeah.
Like I went from sand scavenger to part of a galactic war and an important piece of it, and also discovering I kind of have Jedi powers. And also that my parents are probably nobody.
She's handling it remarkably well.
She's really taking it in stride, you know what I mean? But yeah, I the biggest thing for me was that Snoke I found to be very I was not about it. I was not for his whole being set up by J.J. Abrams and then just being completely ditched. And BC and I talked about this. It wasn't so much that Snoke dying really bothered me. It was more so the idea that he didn't even get a backstory. Like he didn't even. It wasn't even given a chance for us to see who he was. I thought the fact that he died and the fact that they kind of bucked that trope was really great. But to be honest, the whole idea of him just being like, oh, we don't know who he is. Like, he could have been Darth Plagueis. I know a lot of people talked about that. They wanted him to be Darth Plagueis. I personally was very much on board with him being Darth Plagueis. And the fact that he ended up being cut down was really cool. But the way it was done for me, for him being such an all-powerful, I don't want to say Sith Lord, but like Lord of Darkness, if you will, and then not being able to tell that Kylo Ren's about to impale him, I'm sorry. It just felt very odd. It's all very, very odd. But that said, I mean, the fact that they were trying to buck a trope, I found very interesting. BC, what do you think about the trope that they kind of tried to buck with Snoke?
Well, okay. So when it comes to Snoke, I was like everyone else. I was very high on my expectations for where I thought this character could go. Obvious parallels to the Emperor in The Force Awakens. Coming via hologram. Not really. He's obviously the person in the shadows pulling the strings. And I said this earlier, but what we get from Snoke in The Last Jedi is a very different interpretation of this sort of Emperor character. He's not in the shadows. He's not under a hood playing one side against the other like Palpatine did in the prequel trilogy. He's a supreme leader. He's clad in silk robes. They bring in Andy Serkis, the fucking best motion capture actor of all time, to do it, and they give him they make him magnanimous, and they give him all this mystery and stuff like that, and it plays out well on the screen. Like the entire time, I'm just itching, just biting for more information on it. Every little thing that he does It's just more interesting.
Fascinating. Yeah.
You know, he's able to.
I thought he was a good character. I didn't find him to be so tropey that I
thought he was enough. He was different enough from the Emperor.
Yeah.
That while he fits into that role.
I'm sorry, the whole excuse of it doesn't matter. Fuck you. Like,
right?
It matters.
It matters more. I think that's the one thing that like when I first watched the film, I had a great time watching it. For about an hour, I was like tense and just like holding my girlfriend's like arm. Like she was like, "Baby, you gotta let go. Like I'm losing blood." And I was like, "Oh shoot!" For like an hour, I was just like, "Oh my god, what is happening?" Through that whole like climactic scene with Snoke and stuff. But you can't tell me after all the buildup and all the mystery and all the string pulling and all of the neat insights that we got during the first half of The Last Jedi to then kill him off as a part of Kylo Ren's character arc, and then in the process of that give us nothing about him. Nothing. We don't know where he learned, how he learned the Force like that.
I'm sorry.
How he came to power.
Here's the thing. He is older than Leia, Luke, Han was. He strikes me as being older, so there's no way he wasn't around for all of that.
Yeah, he was around when Vader and the Emperor were ruling the galaxy as part of the Empire. He had to be using the Force then. I mean, maybe not had to. It's possible in 30 years for someone to learn to use the Force, obviously. But
I'm sorry. I think someone that powerful they have to be.
Right? He's slamming Hux on a spaceship from light years and light years away.
Yeah.
So, and that's, we see it kills Luke to force project himself. Obviously, force projecting yourself is a little bit probably more intensive, but that drains him of almost all of his ability in order to keep that up for like 20 minutes. Yeah. Whereas, freaking snap of a finger, not even a bead of sweat, Snoke can just control people from light years away. We've never seen that before. And then they make him that powerful.
And it turns out he's just some guy.
Apparently, he has the ability to bridge minds. He was able to, bridge the minds and allow them to, in order to foster that thing.
And it turns out he's just some guy we met down at our Orchard Supply Hardware.
Yeah, right? And he's so integral to what we're supposed to care about when it comes to Kylo and Rey. And then, but it doesn't really matter. What?
No, yes it does.
Fuck you. So no, I am not happy with that at all, and that's probably the biggest thing.
Yeah, I think that causes a lot of issues. And the thing that I also really bothered me was that it wasn't so much, and VC made this point to me earlier, that the Kylo and Rey relationship. I loved the fact that they had this strange relationship, but the fact that he immediately turned around and wanted her to rule the galaxy with him, I was just like, no, like you had it. You
have a different opinion.
To me, although I like what it's trying to signify, let the past die, sure. Kill it if you have to, sure. But I like what it's going for. The delivery of, hey, we're together now. We're going to kill all these guys and fight for our lives. And I just saved you. And then, all right, come on, let's be bad guys. Come on, just like a little bit. You wanna be bad guys? Let's be bad guys. Come on, let's just kill the rebels. It'll be great. Everyone's gonna love it. I'm sorry, I couldn't do that. I get what he's trying to signify, that he's like he's on the dark side, but he's not really fully on the dark side. And I love that. I find that interesting. Hopefully, that's where they go. But
that's what I see. And this is why we have a different opinion on that scene. Is that, and we can talk about Adam Driver's delivery during this movie, because there's a couple of things that
it's so hit or miss for me.
There's a couple of things. There's that scene when he's facing Luke and Luke's like, I tried my best with you. And then he's like, I bet you have, or something like that.
Yeah.
It sounds really like, teen angsty stuff.
He's
both times.
He's emo Kylo Ren. Have you seen that Twitter account?
Yeah.
He is that.
Both times in the theater that I watched it, that part got a laugh. And I'm sure it was not supposed to. I am 100% sure nobody on set that day, the director, post-production, editing, nobody was like, this is supposed to be a funny scene, right? Climax where they're facing off and fucking about to kill each other. Yeah, people are supposed to laugh. No.
Good idea. No.
Yeah, so his delivery at times can be, hit or miss, like you said. But in that scene, in Snoke's, in the throne room, when he goes to, offer his hand and say, let's rule the galaxy together, I see something different in that. Mm-hmm. See, and this is one of the things that I like about this movie, and hopefully it's the driving point of the trilogy, is that I like that they're trying to forge their own path. To me, when he kills Snoke, he's doing it for two reasons. One, he has realized that Snoke's manipulating him, and Snoke doesn't care. I mean, earlier Snoke says when Hux leaves and Ren comes in, and he says something about General Hux, and he goes, he's a cur, but a cur with weaknesses when properly manipulated is a useful tool, something like that.
Yeah.
And then Kylo kind of looks at him like, huh. And then later in the movie, when they're in the throne room and and then Snoke's talking to Rey, he's like, I'm the one that bridged your mind. I knew he wasn't strong enough, or I knew he would lead you to me, or that you guys would have some sort of connection. And you kind of see it in his eyes then. Kylo starts to realize, oh, I'm being manipulated. And I think that strikes a chord with him in the same way that he was being either controlled or held back by Luke. And Luke didn't give a fuck about him. He thought Luke was going to kill him, so he rebelled against him. He sees Snoke's manipulating him and doesn't give a fuck about him, and only cares about the bottom line, so to say. So he does that, and then the second reason is I do think there's a connection. He actually wants to have a connection with Rey. I mean, she's pretty. She's a pretty girl. She's obviously a compatible, force-wise. They're able to have this connection across the galaxy. I mean, that's talk about a long-distance relationship. That's a
wow.
That's a useful part of it.
Long distance is tough. It was tough on them.
Yeah. So
real tough.
So it's good that they had that. So I do think he has something that he doesn't really, just as anybody would, a teen angst if you're. A connection to wanting to have the
parents don't get it. Oh,
yeah, right.
Kill my parents. Oh,
but
for those who haven't checked it out, the emo Kylo Ren Twitter account is one of the best.
If you haven't,
on Twitter.
If you haven't seen it by now, I mean, you're gotta be living under a rock. I mean, that came out. It was pretty popular back when The Force Awakens came out. But that's a hilarious, hilarious feed.
Can this episode just turn into me reading his tweets?
Right.
Go on.
We are now suspending the podcast, and we will be only reading live action interpretations of Kylo Ren, your emo Kylo Ren tweets.
I see what you're saying about that. I still feel like maybe the delivery crushed it for me.
The delivery might have swayed it, but I don't think while the speech is super similar and super visually similar to the Darth Vader Empire Strikes Back, join me and we can rule the galaxy as father and son. That's the only time, I believe, in the original trilogy, and even after when he becomes Vader as Anakin in episode 3.
The Emperor says something along those lines.
To Luke, maybe.
No, the Emperor says that to... Palpatine says that to Anakin.
Right. It draws
prequels.
that parallel. But here's what I'm saying is that in the original trilogy, there is never a time when Vader thinks to betray Palpatine.
Until the very end.
Until the Empire Strikes Back. And he says, join me, and we can rule the galaxy as father as son. And, no, I'm a little bitch with no hand, and Luke falls. But Vader never, in however long we want to say that they were ruling, that him and the Emperor were being the fucking fist and gauntlet of the Empire, never did he really think of overthrowing the Emperor, or betraying him, or starting his own thing, or going into woodcraft. Okay, so yeah, there's our first break. Just wanted to remind you guys real quickly before we jump right back in where we left off. Boardwalk Driving, you can find us on Instagram at Boardwalk Driving, Twitter at BWD Podcasts with an S on the end. That shit is plural. And also check out boardwalkdriving.com to vote on intro and outro music. We're going to keep that up for a while. We're going to be switching it up, finding our different style. All music is by Zach Sennett, by the way. Straight out of New Jersey. Straight out of South Jersey, to be specific. You can find him on at Zach Sen on Instagram and at Zach Senit on Twitter. Senit spelled Senit on Twitter. So yeah, that's it. And let's get back to our discussion. Sorry about the break, guys. The technical difficulties are the first one, so it's a learning curve. Bear with us. But let's hop right back in now. We're live.
We're live again.
Okay, cool. So
remember that your mic is right here.
Yeah. So yeah, we ran into a quick technical problem there, but we're back now. I think we were talking about Snoke, but I think the point at the end of the day was they fucked that up.
Yeah, like it's actually a good metaphor. Our technical difficulties for their story difficulties.
Yeah. No, they dropped the ball and they allowed mistakes to happen that were so easily fixable that there was really no excuse for it.
The thing that floors me is that I totally agree with your, and this is our last thing, is like I totally agree with your comment that it was so open. I thought the first one of this trilogy was so good, and so it was like a perfect setup to anything could happen. You know what I mean? We don't know who Rey is. We don't know who Snoke is.
Nope.
Where's Luke? Why is he there?
A lot of mysteries.
And
all those questions that you just asked were all the questions that they wanted us asking at the end of the first one. And how many answers did we really get satisfactorily answered in this one?
Not very many.
I say zero.
Yeah.
I say zero. I say we didn't get answers to... we didn't get a satisfactory answers to Rey's origins, which, by the way, I think that's a fucking lie, that her parents were nobodies. Why does she have that memory of a ship flying away? They're not dead on Jakku, obviously.
But then it's weird for her to acknowledge that as the truth. Storytelling wise.
Exactly. It doesn't line up. So either they're fucking up in the
For me, I think, see, that's another great point. It's like the whole setup thing. Like, they shouldn't have set it up that way. I think the idea that her parents are nobody, that doesn't bother me. The idea that they are nobody.
That could have been fine. Yeah. I just don't believe it.
Yeah. Exactly.
With the way they told the story,
it's almost as if the second film was made by a different director.
What? Crazy.
Yeah.
You'd think, but there's no way that they would get different directors in a trilogy, right?
Yeah, right.
Everyone knows one person directs the entire story.
Ridiculous. That's like replacing Christopher Nolan halfway through.
Why would you ever do that? So I don't think we got any answers. I think the things that they fucked up on, they really fucked up on, and the fan reaction from it has been mixed, but the negative parts, I see a lot of merit in it.
What about, give one good thing. Always give one good thing about the film. One
good thing about the film. I did like the progression of Kylo and Rey coming together. I thought using the bridge, however it was contrived, I think the mind bridge between them, the force bridge between them, was neat. I thought it was different. I thought it was original. At least we haven't seen anything like that before.
Yeah.
And I think it's giving us an insight into obviously what are meant to be the two main characters. Insight into how they're progressing as they revolve around each other. You know, Snoke said, as the dark rises, light to meet it. Mm-hmm. She obviously represents light, he represents dark. And I think that the one promising thing that if they're smart and if they do it right for Episode 9, what could really save and kind of shape the story of the trilogy is how they choose to progress Rey and Kylo Ren, because like you said, what I don't agree with you is that I don't think Kylo is straying very hard to the dark side, and I think he's more willing to lean towards the middle, this gray Jedi theory, and I think Rey actually is the one really rooting for that light side, and if I had one hope, it would be that the third movie kind of seals in, or maybe brings into canon, the Grey Jedi, and kind of walks back this light side is perfect and good, and that was a big thing about this, is that the Jedi had the hubris and the Jedi failed and allowed the Sith to rise. Like, that's, you're allowed to embrace the negative sides of you. You're allowed to acknowledge them. You're allowed to try and improve on them if you want to, or if not, if they're a part of you that helps you succeed. And that to me is a more worthwhile story.
I agree with that completely.
So I think the way they handled how they were going to get Kylo and Rey still interacting, still after the emotional trauma of him killing Han Solo and the climax of The Force Awakens, I thought how they progressed Kylo Ren and Rey was the saving grace of the movie.
I would agree with that point to a degree. And we already talked about it. The thing for me that I really thought was great was, and I think it's easily overlooked, is the acting.
Yep.
Maybe I say that as an actor, but I think, I believe everything Rey does. I think she's so captivating to watch. Everything she does is captivating to me. Really, no matter how I feel about the story, I just find her so captivating, her acting. I think Adam Driver has moments that are bad, but generally I find him very believable and interesting.
The reason the emo Kylo Ren page is so good,
he's written.
It's because I think he plays an emotional wreck really well. Like, he really does.
I think the writing makes him a little bitchy, and I don't think it's his fault.
It's not his fault.
No, I think
when he doesn't, like, when he has a scene where he's just face acting, not a lot of lines. Yeah, you get emotion. I feel it.
Totally.
But you're right. Some of the lines he gets, and then some of his delivery. Yeah. You go.
Yeah, but generally, I would say he did a good job. I thought a lot of people didn't like Mark Hamill's performance, but I thought with what he was given,
I've always had a problem with Mark Hamill.
I believed him. I found it. I didn't like necessarily who Luke was, but I was like, cool. Like, I thought he connected with it very well, and I even all the minor characters, Finn and Rose, and even though I hated that whole subplot, I still find everything Finn does incredibly interesting. And I find everything Poe does incredibly interesting, even when he's being an idiot for no reason. Yeah, just because the script told him to.
They fucked that up.
I thought it's so easy to overlook the good acting moments that make a not so great script kind of work, and I think that all of the actors pretty much on the whole deserve lots of credit for it.
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, while I have a lot of criticisms about it, and it's because I care so much about the franchise, so to speak, and the story, but I was entirely enthralled watching it, and a lot of that has to do with the acting and what you're seeing on screen.
They're all very compelling. I mean, all of the actors are very compelling. Now, even the ones, even the characters that you're not supposed to like are very compelling. I mean, and I thought Andy Serkis as Snoke was. Maybe that's part of the reason why I was so mad that he died. Is I was like, oh my god, I want more of this.
More.
I want so much more.
I'm such a big fan of Andy
Which is
Serkis.
a comment about how great Andy Serkis is.
And he's
underutilized.
And you know what? That's probably going to be the thing that people are going to remember the most. At least I hope remember the most about this one is that when it came to Snoke and it came to the driving force behind this story, they fucked up using Andy Serkis in what could have been a really awesome role. I mean, we mentioned it earlier when we were playing tennis, but why in the world did we not? Why couldn't Rey and Kylo Ren have to fight him? And then we could have, through that, got some sort of more origin or backstory from him or something like that. Rey's constantly getting visions. What if, as they're fighting, she happens to touch some dumb fucking necklace he has or something? I don't know. Yeah. I'm just spitballing here. But there's they fucked that one up. But other than that, the acting was great. It was definitely entertaining. I was,
It was the most entertaining slow speed chase I've ever seen.
Yes. Right. Right. I mean, when you cut back to Poe for like the 5th time and he's still in the waiting room.
And he's like, guys,
where are those guys?
This movie's way too long.
Guys, they're still coming. They're still just right there. I mean, also, what is this? The thing that they're lobbing shots? Like, how far is that?
They explained it. It had to do with they were just far enough that they couldn't hit them, but...
With proton, these are beams of light, right? That travel infinitely in a direction?
I mean, look.
No.
It's fine. I mean,
But
science.
to be fair, for anyone listening, me and Austin, we're not up to date on 100% of the canon. I know there's comic books and there's graphic novels and there's like a couple of cartoon series that are considered part of the canon. And I'm pretty sure
they're not part of the movie canon.
No, they are.
Some of them. No,
Disney.
but Disney's disavowed some of the canon.
Most of it, except for there's the new Star Wars Rebels is part of it, and there's like 2 or 3 comics that are out. I think there's a book, one book.
This is the last thing, but I don't know about you, but I so wish that the Force Unleashed games were part of the canon. You ever play those games?
Did not. No.
Just real quick, they basically revolve around Vader has a secret apprentice named Starkiller.
You know what? I have played those.
Named Starkiller, who not to spoil the end of it, but the general arc of it is the Emperor makes him kill him, but he actually clones him. He kills him, but he clones him, and then he kind of works for him for a while. Starkiller works for Vader for a while, he also has like a cool backwards lightsaber, and he's on the dark side, but he finds his way to deciding to fight for the light, and he actually becomes one of the founding reasons, if you play the game through, the rebellion starts. And it's the way that they arrive there is so fucking cool. It is a truly great story arc. He goes from dark side apprentice to essentially founding the rebellion.
Well, maybe that's what Rian Johnson's new trilogy will be about.
I wish. Anyway.
Yeah.
But
hopefully we have some more stuff to look forward to. But I don't know. I think this was pretty good, and we tackled some shit. This is gonna make it short. This one for the Bored While Driving podcast, but pretty good. I think we tackled some stuff.
And if we have one thing to say, it's keep your goddamn eyes on the road.
Yeah, right. Just keep them off the phone, because seriously, it's as it gets more distracting and as your news alerts are Trump's doing this and someone's doing that and climate's fucking going down.
Trump punched the baby.
Icebergs are fucking melting. It's hectic, but you gotta worry about you, number one. And if you're too busy looking at your phone and you're not looking at where you're going, then you'll never get there because you'll crash and die. So
yeah. And on that very positive note, we're gonna leave you with our outro music.
All right, here it is. All right, that's it. That was episode 1. Before we go, just some quick shameless promos. Austin is on Twitter and Instagram at It's Austin Powell. His music is also on Apple Music, iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, Google Play, and SoundCloud. And you can catch him in the Los Angeles area performing at various clubs and theaters. Keep you updated with him, anything that's going on. There's going to be a bunch of episodes with him. You can check me out at BC Welfield on all said social media. Stick around. Check out the next episode. It's me and Austin again, as well as our buddy Michael Williams, and we're talking about Game of Thrones, Season 7. So, yeah, that's it. That's going to be the first episode. Done. Wrapped. It's over. Sounds good. I like it.
Mr. Sandman, bring me a dream. Bum, 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 bum. Make him the cutest that I've ever seen. Bum, 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 bum. Give him 2 lips like roses and clover. Bum, 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 bum. Then tell him that his lonesome nights are over. Bum, bum, bum. Bum, bum, roses and clover. Then tell him that his lonesome nights are over, Mr. Singer. Bring me a dream. Make him the cutest that I've ever seen. Give him two lips like roses and roses. Then tell him that his lonesome nights are over. They tell you that his lonesome nights are over. They tell you that his lonesome nights are over. Then tell him that his lonesome nights are over.